Welcome back to the channel, and today I wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on the current state of college football 25. This video will consist of the good, the bad, and the ugly, and some things I believe are relatively easy fixes that can make it a better experience for the community on this game and bigger things that could be implemented down the line on future games. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you find today's video enjoyable, consider subscribing and liking the video as it helps the channel grow so we can continue to build our great community. I appreciate you being here, and let me know in the comments what your biggest praise or gripe is. And with that, let's get into it. So let's go ahead and get the good things out of the way and give the game its flowers where it's due. I understand a lot of things are upsetting about the game, but in my opinion, this game still has a ton of playability, and the potential, if things are implemented correctly, is still there. I have logged well over 150 hours in the month since the game has released, so proof is there for sure. The Heisman mode actually being difficult may be the first time sports games have been able to accomplish that in a game mode where you're playing against just solely the AI. Visually, the game looks great, albeit some things may be annoying, but when I have watched replays or some of other people's content, the game does look very fluid. The new passing mechanic adds a layer of RNG to passing. I like not knowing for certain that my 75 overall quarterback is going to be perfect on a throw and relies on his stats rather than my skills, since at some point most of us will be good enough to throw perfectly nearly every time. Also, Team Builder has been a good for the most part. They did have some bugs, but they have fixed most of those from what the last thing I heard. Lastly, I feel that EA has given us a very good base for future games, which is the most important part to me. This game could have really sucked or been a copy of Madden in a college skin, but it isn't, and that is the biggest praise EA can get. Moving on to the bad, we have quite a lot of stuff that is still in this category, and this category is really for things that are minor annoyances or things I believe EA made the choice to do, but didn't work out how the community may have hoped. For example, the amount of upsets is extremely annoying to a lot of people, but I do think it was a decision they made to give some more chaotic results to the game, because if it was realistic as possible, your one-star team would never make it to the college football playoff in 5 years. Another that would fit in this second group would be a lack of customization for editing players. I understand the importance of NIL and not getting sued, but with EA being such a vast company, you can't convince me there shouldn't be a way to lock certain naming groups plus likenesses plus numbers combination to prevent us from recreating real players not in the game, especially since most of the players in college agree to be in the game anyways. Coaches not being in the game is for sure annoying, but doesn't break the game completely, but I do believe they mentioned they are remedying this going forward, so let's hope they stay true to their word. Another issue I have is not having a single caster presented in the flesh. All we hear is their voice and never get to see them in the booth or on the sideline. I can overlook the branding of ESPN not being in the game, but I would have loved to see a pregame panel or just a panel in the game, or even at halftime to break it up a little bit. Along with this, there are absolutely no tutorials for anything whatsoever. I know in an age where YouTube creators display basically everything in a game, it is still nice to have some tutorial on things, especially new features like the revamped passing. While wear and tear system is a great feature, the current functionality of it does suck. I've had so many players get to the red on the system and still played for the rest of the game. I don't want to have to force sub these guys out when they are near injured. That should just be a given. Also, injuries were meant to be significant with this system, but I have not had a single player have a season-ending injury. Almost all of them are only out for a game or two. And while that section was pretty long, this one's also nearly as long. In our final grouping, we have the ugly, and this is the stuff that really just should have never happened, or things that need to be fixed culturally or about the game ASAP. I'm going to lead off with an inability to quality attest the game. Quality assurance has been a sore topic for a lot of AAA companies as of late, but the amount of bugs and issues like the custom conferences being completely broken, job offers not working properly, the pass blocking bug in the latest patch, and ranking issue at the launch as a few examples should never have made it into the live build if properly tested. I mean, this feels like they didn't even look at the season play out before they shipped it. And with that, if they aren't going to QA test anything, they need to release updates at a minimum weekly for the first few weeks of the game. Waiting a month to get a fix for a game-breaking bug is just unacceptable. Next, I have the lack of promised features. The biggest example of this is the lack of to edit rivals and conference creation. This was promised in their deep dives before the game launch, and I am sure there are other examples, but releasing a game where some features are promised and not there is really in bad faith. At a minimum, they need to put out an announcement stating why it is in the game yet or not going to be in the game down the road. The third thing I find insane not being in the game is the lack of historical data in the game and many semblance of a trophy case. There is no way to look at past playoff champs or Heisman winners or to see what bowls you have won or how many conference titles you have. Hell, you can't even see the longest kickoff or punt returns and all-time records like you could in the old games. Just not having a way to refer back to year one when you're a decade and a half through your dynasty run is really sad to see. The discrepancy of AI defense versus my user defense is the final issue I want to cover in this one. The AI has pristine defense 90% of the time, but for some reason my defense plays like a bunch of peewee players. I am not saying on Heisman it should be easy, but there needs to be some middle ground between the two. When I play FCS Northwest, I shouldn't be facing a top 3 level pass coverage. Obviously everything in the ugly and bad section should be changed, but I would love to see another few things added as well that didn't really fit into one of the categories above. The first will be players following coaches in the transfer portal and just the portal in general. I've played a few years in multiple dynasties and have yet to see many players transfer at all. I've had only one offseason where I lost more than 2 guys and more than 10 where I lost no one. Another issue I would like to see change would be the season stats for award winners and finalists and All-Americans. Why do we only showcase the most recent game of year-long awards? And then also, speaking of awards, I would like to see that the award logic be a little bit more similar. Why is the Heisman winner not also winning the best quarterback of the year award, even though he's a senior and he could win that award easily? It just doesn't make much sense. And that's all I have today. I want to mention that while there are a ton of issues and I may sound like a downer, I do still enjoy this game immensely. It just sucks to see some things that in mine and a lot of other people's eyes could be an easy fix or implementation not be in the game we love so much. But I will step down off my soapbox and end this one on a higher note. I appreciate all of you all tuning in today, and if you like what you saw or agree with anything I said, consider dropping a sub, a like, and a comment below. It is a completely free way you can support the channel, and it helps us grow, and I would be super grateful. And with that, I'll get out of here. I'm glad you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one.